Have you ever thought that one day you're gonna see a build that not only gives you high amount of weapon damage, but also armor regen and skill tier, all of that at the same time, and you don't even have to worry about any stack building mechanic from the gear? Yeah, I know, but don't worry, I don't have any prototype gear or weapons. As a matter of fact, my weapon doesn't even have expertise on them. So yeah, without any further ado, let me show you the build. Now, as for the build, well, this is the build over here. As you can see, we do have the new gear set, the core strength here. I have a lot of red cores on it, but you can see my armor is almost 2 million. I also have 3 skills here, and these are the skills I'm using here, like a turret and a hive. You can change your skill, depends on the content you're playing, whether you're playing solo or you want to buff your group members. I'll explain that in a moment, like what skills can you use. They actually plays a very huge role on this build, to be honest, and I would highly recommend you to use the technician specialization because it gives you 1 extra skill tier. You also do more damage to like warhounds and enemy skills, and also you get that artificial hive, which we are using on the build here right now. Now let's just start with the gear set first. So let's just start with the chest piece. You can see the moment I open, everything is like red, like it's bad, like apparently whatever I own is not good enough. That's what it says, except the new gear set, because that's basically what it does. So with this you get 10% of weapon handling for 2-piece set bonus, which is always handy. 3-piece gives you 5% weapon damage, total armor and skill efficiency, which is again really nice. And 4-piece gives you the talent course exercise. Now basically what it does is for each core on your gear pieces, you receive 40% of the other 2 core bonuses, and the skill tier will only count as a 15% of skill efficiency. That's pretty much what it does. And in this case, like I'm using the chest piece, so that 40% becomes 75%, right? Now let me try to quickly tell you what actually happening here. So with the core attribute, I have weapon damage, which is 15% because it's not prototype. So basically right now I'm getting 75% of the armor, like the blue core, like a max armor over here, you can see, which is 170,000 armor. I'm getting 75% of this thing because of, I'm using the chest piece because the 40% is becoming 75. So that's what I'm getting right now. And for the skill efficiency, I'm only getting 15% because they literally mentioned here that skill tiers will always count as, 15% of skill efficiency. Now, as for the attributes, I have weapon damage, crit chance, and crit damage. Is always like important to go with weapon damage, especially if you're making like a damage type of build. You should always go for the weapon damage because you're automatically going to get the armor and obviously the skill efficiency. Now, as for the mask, we have weapon damage, crit chance, and crit chance mod. Try to get that crit chance as high as possible. And with the holster, I have weapon damage, crit damage here. And for the gloves, I have weapon damage and crit damage. So that's the 4-piece of the new gear set. Now, why am I using the Memento backpack and not the gear set backpack? Because to be honest, the gear set backpack is kind of useless. Like you can see the talent outer core, it says that this talent does not provide a direct change to the core exercise talent, means that even though it has 3 different cores, you're not going to get the benefit out of it. Like you're not getting that 40% or, since we are using the chest piece, 75% of the bonus or even the 15% of skill efficiency. So, kind of useless there. So that's why I'm using the Memento, because you're not only getting the bonuses from it, but you also get that extra stuff, which is, weapon damage, bonus armor, skill efficiency, and don't forget the 3% armor regen. This is almost a 2 million armor build, and more armor is more regen, so that 3% will give you a lot of regen, right? Now for the knee pads, I am using the Emperor's Guard because it gives you 1% armor regen as well, and the set piece bonus gives you 15% of skill duration. So if I'm using something like a turret, it stays a little bit longer, or like a decoy, or even the the smart cover, which I am using it, so it is helping there. Now if you don't have the Emperor's Guard, it's okay. You can just use something like a Hana U because that gives you skill haste. Anything that benefits like that, you can use it. Or you can use anything, DPS related. You can even use something like the Salvo holster. You can also go and use that, get that rate of fire. Or you can use something like a Bellstone, get more armor regen from this if you want armor regen, that is. So you'll get that 1% armor regen. Yeah, you can do all of that, but I'm sticking with the knee pads there. Now, as for the weapons, you can see I'm using Lexington here, but you don't have to use the Lexington. The weapon you're going to be using is Mechanical Animal. I unfortunately do not have a Mechanical Animal. That's why I'm showing you a Lexington here because, it is easy to handle this weapon because of its accuracy and stability. Now, Mechanical Animal will come with the Future Perfection talent, which is the named version of this talent. Now, what it does? Well, every time you get a kill, you get a skill tier. Now, remember, we already have 3 skill tier on the build. So each kill will add a skill skill tier. So 3 kills will give you 6 skill tier and 4 kills will give you an overcharge. So that's why I said if you have the mechanical animal, use that instead. Now, if you want your turrets to do more damage, then use the capacitor, because I mean capacitor are automatically going to do good damage by its own. However, the talent will increase your skill damage by a lot as well at the same time, when you have the stacks. So which is good. Now, if you want to use prototype weapons or gears, like I have a prototype Lexington over here, the augment you should be using is the one gives you healing. Your skills, like when your skill deals damage, gives healing, kind of like a refactor gear set, so use that instead. Or if you want to do the double damage one, use that. Like if you get any one of those two, I would say go for that. Again, if you want to do the prototype kind of thing, I'm not gonna say anything about this. If you have it, use it. If you don't, well, just the build works without it. So yeah, I am using the build without prototype gear, and I don't even have expertise on my weapon, so yeah, it works. Now, as for these skills, well, like I said, I'm using a turret and the artificial hive there. Now, since we have a lot of skill efficiency on the build, the artificial hive gets the most benefit out of it. Every time that purple juice hits your turret, it's going to increase its damage by a lot, plus also going to heal it. And now, if you're using a shield, you will see that the purple hive, when it heals the shield, you'll see it heals by a lot. Like the healing is really good because of high skill efficiency on the build. Now, you can use other skills as well, something like a smart cover, which I already mentioned earlier on. Whether you're using the precision or you're using the fortified, depends on what type of content you're playing. If you want to give yourself and your team members a lot of damage and weapon handling, you can use the precision. If you want to give them like a bonus armor, explosive resistance, you can use the fortified, obviously. But if you're using this on escalation, be careful if you're playing higher tier escalation, because if you stay still for a very long time in one place, you're gonna get like shock because of one of those mutators or something. So yeah, that's kind of sad. Otherwise, it works really well as well, and the cooldown is very low as well. Because of your skill efficiency. So that's pretty nice. And don't forget, every time you get a kill from the Future Perfect talent, it's gonna get even better. So it is really, really handy to use the smart cover now. Now, if I show you my stats here, you can see my crit chance and crit damage. If you want, you can get a bit more crit chance, like 55%, for example, because obviously 60% is the cap, but I'm happy with whatever I have. As for the defensive stats, I have obviously 2 million armor, like I said, and 1% armor regen coming from the Empress God's knee pads, so 20,000 armor regen there. But don't forget, we have Memento backpack that will give us 3% armor regen, so you will be getting like 90,000 plus armor regen there. And also you have 3 skill tier from the build, and then you can increase it further if you use the weapon, like the mechanical animal and the talent Future Perfection. You can get more skill tier like that. And don't forget, we have 5 red cores as for damage as well. We have that too. So overall, the build basically have a bit of everything, and it actually works really well. Like you got the very high armor, which regenerates at a very high speed, and you also have the skill tier, which makes your skill functions really well, works like a skill build in a way, and at the same time you have the damage from your weapon because of the build is basically a crit kind of damage build. It's a weird hybrid, I know, but it works. You can change around, you can try armor everything, or skill tier, or change different skills, if you want. If you prototype this, it'll perform even better because you'll get more armor, and that will kind of give you more, damage. Or if you get the weapon damage higher, then obviously it'll give you more percentage of the higher armor, so it will work better, and it'll increase the armor regen even more, because more armor is more regen. But I'm not gonna tell you to prototype it. If you want to do it, you can do it. I had very bad luck playing escalation. I didn't got anything good prototype gear wise, and I don't have much resources to max out my gear and then convert it into prototype. Even though I'm a level 30 expertise player, I just don't have much resources, so I have to go and grind that. But yeah, that's for another day. But so far, if you enjoyed the build, leave a like, subscribe maybe, and obviously leave your thoughts in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next one. Till then, peace.